Hello, good evening and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. Now, it's a disgraceful and insulting thing to say to Ghanaians. That's how the CDD boss, Professor Yaw captions the response from the senior minister, Yaw Osafo-Marfo, to a question on why Galamsey kingpin Aisha Huang was deported during her trial some time ago. Well, if you have not seen the video, here is it.
Very good relationship with China. They're the main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana. It's Sino Hydro. It's a Chinese company. It's the one that's going to help process our bauxite and provide about $2 billion to us. But when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problems. It's not going to make you happy or me happy. That's not important. The most important thing is being deported out of Ghana. So we must say something. I'm saying that there are many other things beyond what you see in these matters. And everybody is wide awake. The most important thing is that we have found this, we have established regulations, and we are protecting our environment. And that is far more important than one Chinese human.
So that's the senior minister, Yaw Osafo-Marfo, there in that audio, speaking in somewhere outside the country, speaking to some Ghanaians, talking about why Aisha Huang, the Galamsey Queen, who was finally arrested, who was deemed to be very powerful, and was finally deported into her own country at the time that she was supposed to be standing trial. That has generated some controversy. We'll be dealing with that after this break. Welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. My guest today is a former Lands and Natural Resources Minister. He's actually been part of this Galamsey fight some time ago. But now, what's the crux of our conversation today? Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Marfo has justified the decision by the Accra High Court to free embattled Chinese Galamsey Queen Aisha Huang, who was deported back to China, her home country, in December last year. You know the controversy that ensued after her deportation. At a town hall meeting recently held outside the country, Mr. Osafo-Marfo is heard in a circulated video saying it does not deserve, in fact, it does not serve this country any interest at all to have Aisha Huang jailed in Ghana, where she was alleged to have committed a crime in connivance with others. If I want to quote him directly, he says, putting Aisha Huang in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your money problem. It is not going to make you happy or me happy. He actually makes further statements and declarations like, we have a very good relationship with China. The main company that's helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana is Sino Hydro. It's a Chinese company. He has stressed that point there. It is one that is going to help produce our bauxite and process it and provide about $2 billion to us. So when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes. Putting Aisha Huang in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your money problem. It's actually not going to make me happy or make you happy. So this is what has generated some controversy. This is what has caused some people's displeasure in the country. Now, for example, the understanding, for example, Professor Yaw Osafo-Marfo of CDD, the boss, says is that that's not important to me. The most important thing is that she's been deported out of Ghana. There are many other things. Of course, this is still what they call it, Osafo-Marfo's quotes anyway. He says the most important thing is that she has been deported out of Ghana. There are many other things beyond what we see in these matters, and everybody is wide awake. The most important thing is that we establish regulations and we are protecting our environment. That is far more important than one Chinese one who has been deported back to her country. Now, we know that as of December 2017, 699 people have been arrested by the Vanguard team. Also, that number went to almost 1,000 by the end of 2018, with 30% of them being foreign nationals, at least according to the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining as we know it to be. Today, I'm asking the people who are gathered here in the studio a simple question. Is it a matter of convenience, or we just are not winning the fight against Galamsey from the evidence suggested by the senior minister? Moving beyond that, have we lost our sense of dignity, or this is just business as usual? Those questions first I'll put to the former minister I did tell you about, who is already here in the studio with me. The Honorable Minister Fuseini, welcome.
Thank you, Raymond.
How did you feel when you heard the real reasons why Aisha Huang was deported?
Well, I felt, let me first of all wish your viewers a happy Easter and to say good evening to you and other viewers. Raymond, when I heard the reason given by Senior Minister Osafo-Marfo for the deportation of Huang, who we have called Aisha, I was scandalized. I was scandalized because his reasons reveal who he actually is.
Not what we are.
Not what we are. Because as a country, we have laws that regulate the conduct of persons. Indeed, and to state emphatically that when I heard that Aisha Huang had been deported, I filed a question in Parliament.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
And the question has not been listed. It was admitted, but up to now has not been listed. It was based on a simple reason. One, Aisha Huang had been arrested somewhere in April-May of 2018. She had appeared several times in court. On the first few occasions that she appeared in court, she was remanded because the prosecution said it was still investigating the matter. Now, she was arrested and charged with the same offenses for which she was deported.
Okay.
One, engaging in small-scale mining activities, contrary to Section 99(1) of the Minerals and Mining Act 2000, Act 703. She was also charged with providing mining support services without a permit from the Minerals Commission or a license from the Minerals Commission. She was charged under the Immigration Act of 2000 for employing foreigners. These were the same charges that got the court to remand her into prison custody. Now, Osafo-Marfo is saying that those charges do not matter. Protecting our environment does not matter. Upholding the laws of the country does not matter. What matters is our relationship with China. And that's what scandalizes us. So why did the president swear on the Bible to uphold the laws of the country? The laws of this country forbid a foreign national from engaging in small-scale mining activities. Indeed, so why are we fighting at all to safeguard our environment? Why have we said that foreigners should not engage in small-scale mining if it is about relationship? And so that is where I don't see it. Indeed, when I filed the question, I jokingly said that probably Aisha Huang had now changed her name to Aisha Hydro. And the recent explanation of Osafo-Marfo vindicates my position.
What does that even mean?
Because at that time that Aisha Huang was deported from this country, the government was busily negotiating a deal with Sanu Hydro.
Okay.
So probably Aisha Hydro is now, Aisha Huang is now Aisha Hydro, because they were prepared as part of the negotiations to deport Aisha Huang from Ghana and not subject her to the laws of this country. At the same time that they were deporting Aisha Huang, Magufuli in Tanzania was sentencing foreign nationals who were engaged in illegal mining activities in his country. In any case, it's punishing a person who engages in illegal mining and subsequently deporting the person inconsistent with maintaining our foreign relations with China. I mean, we could do that.
I get you.
We could punish her for flouting our laws with impunity, because even when she was arrested and detained, first admitted to bail,
Yes.
she was still engaging in illegal activities. Even when she was remanded into custody, she still had the effrontery to get her employees to continue to engage in illegal mining activities. Even when she didn't have a permit to provide mine support service, she was doing that. Even when she knew that foreigners were not allowed to engage in small-scale mining, she employed other Chinese nationals to support her flout the laws of the country.
I remember that when she was first arrested, there was a lot of talk about and publications about this woman being powerful. This woman, and I even heard Kokubako say that it was speculated that she had even some documentations, including sex tape recordings of people in powerful places. She was seen at government gatherings, and she was deemed to be extremely powerful in the Ashanti region. The reason why it was not going to be possible that we will be able to deal with her. When you fast-tracked what the decision was and the subsequent justification by the senior minister, are you shocked by all the perhaps speculative talk around who she was and how powerful she was?
Well, I'm not shocked. I think I was on the same platform with probably you sitting in for Samson when Kokubako made those allegations. I'm not shocked. Mm-hmm. I know that it takes more than just being a Chinese national to flout our laws with impunity.
Okay.
I mean, she would have had some contacts in government, both in the NDC and the NPP, because she's been around for some time.
Okay.
We also had rumors of her running some sex
brutal of assault.
Yeah. And so probably that could allow her come into possession of sex tapes, which you could use to blackmail people. Okay. But our country, Ghana, is bigger than a person, any person in this country. And so our laws were fashioned with that regard to persons. They were fashioned, modeled, couched out to protect the country as a country. And particularly in matters of the destruction of the environment, our laws should not have a human face. I mean, because
especially at the time that the entire nation was so bent on getting to the bottom of this matter.
Yes.
What we were all behind this, there was a media coalition, there was a generalized thinking that never again shall we allow these groupings to destroy our water bodies or do evil. And that we will exert the highest forms of punishment available within our laws for it. Indeed, there were some times that people even complained that these guys were being dealt with kids' gloves, and that there were stronger, charges that could be leveled against them. And yet we're choosing much more simpler ones like abusing immigration rules and stuff like that.
Well, within the ambit of the law, you could only impose punishments within the ambit of the law.
Yeah.
Okay? And the law provided for how those punishments were to be exerted. Okay, or exacted. For persons who were not Ghanaians involved in small-scale mining, the laws of the country was quite clear that prosecute them for the offences, confiscate the machinery, and deport them thereafter.
Yes.
They were quite clear. And so it is not as if to say we're treated them with kid gloves. What we were doing, or what we expected government to do, was to arrest, punish, and deport.
Okay, now I want to go back to the point you made about you filing an urgent question. Is that what was the content of this particular question you filed?
The content was what informed the Minister of Justice to file nulli prosequi in court and subsequently deport Aisha Huang from Ghana.
You never got an answer to
it was never listed, but it was admitted, but never listed.
Never.
Probably it's still to be listed. But
were you giving reasons why?
No reasons.
I mean, she was deported somewhere in December.
No reasons up to now.
We are in April.
Yes, no reasons. But immediately I heard she was deported, I filed the question to know exactly what informed. Because you see, and what agitated my mind was if government was interested in deporting Aisha Huang, she ought to have been deported immediately she was arrested.
Yeah.
And not suffer the judicial system.
Yeah.
With the amendment, adjournment, court appearances and all that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know why they had to wait to that time. And especially when it coincided with when we were dealing with San Hydro for the 2 billion. So one could draw a connection between what we're doing. So I'm not surprised Osafo-Marfo has said that. So, but I wanted to know exactly what informed that decision.
So these quotes, we have a very good relationship with China. The main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana is Sino Hydro. It's a Chinese company. It is the one that is going to help process our bauxite and provide about $2 billion to us. So when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes.
So Sino Hydro clearly, the Aisha one clearly was part of the negotiations. That's what Osafo-Marfo is saying.
And it proceeds to say,
revealing, yes.
Putting Aisha one in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your money problem.
It's not about money problem. It's about enforcement of the laws.
It's not going to make you happy or me happy.
It will make me happy because we are enforcing our laws. We are exercising sovereignty over our land. We are protecting our environment. We are making sure that people do not simply steal our resources. It makes me happy. Those resources that are being exploited are also money because it constitutes the assets of the country. And so it makes me happy. It will make future generations happy because they will have an environment to live in. They might even have the resources to exploit. So probably Osafo-Marfo does not get it.
I want to continue the quote. Said, that's not important to me. The most important thing is that she's been deported out of Ghana. Is that the most important
That's
thing?
not the most important. The most important thing is to have made her to suffer the consequences of her illegal activities.
Something that I'm sure all the almost 1,000 Ghanaians that have been arrested will go through.
Yes. So why will you think that...
Is she a better human being?
So why will you think that Aisha Huang is different? Is it because the other Ghanaians don't have money to give government?
Again, it's not only Ghanaians that actually be arrested.
Is it because the other West African countries don't have money to give to Ghana? So he's suggesting that other West African nationals or other Europeans or other Asians who have been arrested, if their governments come up with a deal to exchange our iron ore for another 2 billion, they will be released, they will be deported.
Now,
is the country for sale?
He also says that there are many other things beyond what we see in these matters, and everybody is wide awake.
They obviously are many things beyond, because there are things that you and I don't know.
But you've been minister in that particular ministry before.
Well, I know.
Did you have any opportunity at trying to exchange an Aisha one kind of human being?
No. I didn't. You see, my strategy was simple. Send notice to them and give them certain date by which they should all leave the sites.
But this government did the same. They gave more, almost 6 months.
So when I didn't give 6 months, I gave 1 week.
Okay.
So when they were not leaving, they thought I couldn't. They even sent a delegation from China to meet me.
Okay.
And the other ministers in the team. I was chairman. So I told them that all we could do to help them was to comply with the date that had been given. And that if they failed, I would arrest them. But they thought at that time, they were about 6,000 foreign nationals, and predominantly Chinese, working in Galamsey.
In this country.
So they thought that I couldn't enforce it.
I see.
They thought that it would be way impossible for me to arrest them because they were living in the bush, and they thought I wouldn't be able to get to them.
Okay.
But they didn't know my strategy. They didn't know what. I just made it impossible for them to escape. I devised a strategy where the military forces entered all the Galamsey areas, the sites, on the same day at the same time.
That was possible?
That was possible.
On all of the areas?
All the areas at the same time. So in central region, in western region, in the Ashanti region, in eastern region, they entered at the same time. So many of them were arrested when they were trying to flee. So they fled into the dragnet.
Okay.
Now, when they realized that there was no avenue for them to move, then they started surrendering themselves. So that's how we were able to deport so many as 5,000 Chinese.
So you deported, but I didn't prosecute them?
Yes. So that was a strategy. I said, look, if you are caught, you'll be prosecuted.
Yeah.
Either you leave the sites, or when we arrest you, we will prosecute you. So when we entered, they surrounded.
So you arrested them?
We arrested them straight away.
We're told about 3,000 or so were arrested.
Some 5,000 of them were deported.
arrested.
Yes, over 5,000.
So why didn't you prosecute them?
No, we didn't arrest them doing Galamsey.
Okay.
We arrested them fleeing from those sites.
You couldn't connect it to them?
No, we couldn't connect. We didn't arrest them in the Galamsey pits. No, we didn't.
Okay.
Because we gave the order and they thought it was impossible, they left the Galamsey sites and they were in the towns. So when we zoomed in and they were running, they ran into the nets. And many of them just simply, and you see,
when you had that pressure?
No, I was not under pressure. But
from within?
I was not under pressure. But
Are you sure?
I got...
They say so many things happen behind the scene.
No, I was not under pressure.
Not at all?
No.
I mean, I'm not sure you may want to admit it openly to people.
No, I was not under pressure. Except that many people...
But the senior minister is an experienced politician. He's not a young man.
I was not under pressure.
Not at all?
I was not under pressure. But what I know is that many people said that my fight against the illegal mining, which affected in greater significance and detail the Chinese, affected the 3 billion facility that Atamils had negotiated.
The CBD loan?
Yes, that's what people told me, but I have no evidence to believe that, but that's what they said.
Okay, so the man is not telling lies when he says that this mostly has links to some of the things we do in this country.
Well, you have to choose. It's an election. Either you protect the environment, and there's nothing that can compensate for the protection of the environment. There's nothing. Indeed, what even encouraged us to go after those who were doing illegal mining in Ghana, and especially foreign nationals, was that, in fact, we had reports originating from China. We said that in a community in China, you just needed to say that you were coming to Ghana to mine, and then you will have assistance from the banks. Why it took a whole officials of a district, we call it prefecture or what, in China, to visit Ghana to negotiate on behalf of the illegal Chinese nationals who were in the mining fields.
And this happened during your time?
This happened during my time. Was something that clearly we couldn't understand.
So the state really somewhere knew they were operating in this space?
The state knew they were operating here.
Do you know?
The money was going back to China.
The current ambassador has been saying something. She's been saying that there is more gold in South Africa. Why is there no Chinese operating in illegal parts?
The previous ambassador also said that.
Yeah,
she also said that to me. She said that to me.
Really?
Yes. She said the Chinese were victims.
They were victims?
Yes. And that Ghanaians were those who had gone to bring them. And the Chinese do not get up and just come to Ghana. She said that to me. But I said that anybody traveling to another country has a responsibility to know the laws of that country. If you are going to China, you should know that in China you can't do certain things. And so it really doesn't matter whether they were lured by Ghanaians into the mining sites. They ought to have known that it's not simply permissible to mine in Ghana.
With the presence of the lives of Aisha One, could this have been plausible? Could they claim that they were lured, that these were just...
Well, I have no doubt that Ghanaians set out, went to China, convinced the Chinese to come. And when I was there, we identified persons who had brought the Chinese.
Really?
Yes. The initial arrangement was that they brought in the Chinese to provide them with resources. Okay?
Okay.
Both money and equipment.
Okay.
To be able to, and technology to be able to mine.
I see.
But as the Chinese came in, they realized that they could do it better.
Oh, okay. And
so they started going into the sites to mine themselves. But yes, we know persons who were behind the influx of Chinese. Indeed, there were even at times when the ban was put on mining in Ghana by foreigners. There were Ghanaians who got Chinese to land in Togo and other places so that they could ferry them overland into the country.
So indeed, Ghanaians were complicit in this.
Ghanaians are complicit.
And we have arrested some of them in this particular
Yes,
case.
we have arrested some of them, and some of them are still complicit, and we know that they are complicit.
Can we boldly have the moral authority to prosecute the other people from other countries, including Ghanaians?
Oh yes, we always do. In the initial act before the amendment, the punishments were very
liberal.
They were
more like misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors, and so people could just go in. Sometimes they paid fines and walked away, and that was why we sought to tighten the law. And so yes, they will be prosecuted, and Ghanaians have been prosecuted and sentenced sometimes to 6 months imprisonment.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
I'm asking whether it's fair to prosecute a Ghanaian and let go a Chinese woman because of a Sino-Hydro deal.
Well, I can't say it's fair. It's definitely not fair.
But
Osafo-Marfo says that there are other considerations.
Yes, but you see, is it not possible? States do prisoners exchange, don't they?
They do.
Yes. Could these be
but
one
not
of those
economic
arrangements?
prisoners. Not economic prisoners.
Really?
Economic prisoners, you serve the sentence and then they deport you. And we had the case of that Ghanaian in Britain, as an example. You have to serve the sentence and then you are deported.
It's not also true that we have some parts with other states, including the US of A, a non-surrender agreement. That if a US
a non-surrender agreement is that because of US has not signed the ICC protocol.
Yes.
And so we can't surrender US nationals to ICC.
Yeah.
That's the non-surrender agreement.
It means that if a US
but we can try them here.
is being required in any state to do anything.
Yeah, we can try them here.
Or send them back to the US. Or send them
back to the US.
Yes.
Like in the case of the military pact. We don't try them here, we send them back to
the US.
Yes. Yeah. But where we don't have any agreement with the US to repatriate those people who have committed crimes in this country, we try them here locally.
Is it possible that we could have had a similar agreement with China? An agreement in and of itself.
Well, in the
that says
absence,
that when we arrest your fellows, like you deported them, we would equally deport them. But in Aisha Wang's case, is it possible, plausible, reasonable that we actually realized we took the wrong path with prosecution and had to abandon that process and end up taking her back to her country?
First of all, we never took a wrong path to prosecution. You don't let economic crime go unpunished.
Okay.
You don't do that. Anywhere in this world, economic crime is punishable within the home state. And thereafter, if that person is a foreigner, he's deported. You can't deport a national. So after that, he's integrated.
Yeah.
Okay. But a foreigner is deported thereafter. That means you don't respect the laws of the country. So you have no business living in that country. So you can enter into an agreement to repatriate, deport foreigners who have committed crimes within your country.
I will come back after this break, talk about what this means for our integrity as a people, for our collective dignity as a grouping, and also what it means for our governance and how far we come with this particular process after the break. My guest today is a former Lands and Natural Resources Minister. He also was, in 2013 or so, part of people that fought the Galamsey. In fact, the team, which is mostly perceived to be the military deployments, he also did some of those during his time. This conversation is largely because of the revelation from the senior minister. A senior minister in this republic is telling us, and he said this outside the country, the reasons why the lady Aisha Huang, who was known in the Ashanti region and other parts of the country to be a huge Galamsey kingpin. That woman, we are being told, was led back into her country. And we deported her for the simple reason that we needed the Sino-Hydro deal. Some $2 billion for infrastructure development. Get it straight. The Sino-Hydro deal is a barter as government has established it to be. Which means that we are giving them bauxite. And they are giving us schools, roads, and all the infrastructure needs that we wanted to have. Let's also not forget, in the year 2017, we established that we needed at least $2 billion every year, $2 billion every single year, to be able to head towards bridging the infrastructure gap in the country. So that's how relevant the money was to us. So did you sell our birthright? Did we impugn on our own laws as a people to allow a single woman not be an obstacle towards receiving the amount of monies involved? Was it convenience, out of political convenience? Or it was just a necessity to make sure that the real things happen? Those are questions we are asking you today. You can also join us anyway. But my guest, as I did tell, is a former minister. You're welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, the conversation we had was to the point that let's get this clear. For government and for the minister speaking, this was they being between the rock, the sea and the hard place, the rock and the hard place, to the extent that they had no option. They just had to let go the woman so that we can get rules for the people. We can get the people getting schools. At the end of the day, many Ghanaians will choose hospitals, schools, and roads to a prosecution of a single woman. Deep within your heart, don't you think so?
I don't think so. Deep within my heart, I believe that protecting the environment and the natural heritage of the people, of the present and future generations, is more important than roads, schools, and hospitals. It's so important that in future, if we do protect the environment and protect the natural resources of this country, the future generations would be able to exploit same and develop the country. We, as present generation, have a responsibility to promote intergenerational equity. That we must not run our country in such a way that we destroy the ability of the future generation to take care of themselves.
How is this going to destroy ability of
Well,
future generations to take care of
if
themselves?
you despoil the environment, okay, create a situation where the natural recycling or renewal of the environment is destroyed, make it impossible for cocoa to grow, pollute the gold-bearing areas of this country with mercury, and expose the people to the dangers that mercury have on the health of the people. You are compromising their ability to lead a healthy life and then to be able to exploit the resources of the land. And that is what we are doing. And that is why Aisha Huang ought to have been punished, not only to serve as a deterrent to other foreign nationals who are coming into this country, but also even to our own countrymen. They say that, look, we will deal with you no matter our relationship with China. And indeed, the Chinese government have repeatedly said that they don't support the illegal activities of their nationals in any country.
That's true.
They have said that they enjoin and encourage their country, their citizens in other countries to obey the laws of the country. And so we are not talking about government, Chinese government complicity in the impunity of its nationals in Ghana.
So if Chinese government is not complicit, if the state officially has stated to you that we don't care, you need to get to the bottom of this matter and we are not going to support anybody like that, how come we are being told that Sino-Hydro and the deal has everything to getting this woman off?
So you can draw the connections.
I mean, I'm on
Sino-Hydro,
yes.
Sino-Hydro is a Chinese company that operated in Ghana between the year 2002 to 2008 in building, and thereafter in building the Bui Dam.
Yeah.
It is Sino-Hydro that has entered into a relationship with government to do the infrastructure for bauxite deal. Sino-Hydro is huge in Ghana. Aisha Huang, nobody knows her relationship with Sino-Hydro. And Sino-Hydro and Aisha Huang could use her arrest as a leverage to get Ghana government to release her on condition that they make available to the country.
Is Sino-Hydro for the government of China?
Chinese enterprises are state enterprises, but they operate on market-oriented principles.
I get your point.
So they go out there, look for resources.
Because I'm trying to connect these two. On one hand, the Chinese tell us through their representatives in this country that we're not interested in what happens to our citizens. We don't support they doing Galamsey.
Yeah.
We support people who are law-abiding and all of that.
And there are many Chinese men and women who are law-abiding, many.
Yes, that's not in doubt.
Yes.
On the other hand, too, we understand from a senior minister And this senior minister is a cabinet minister.
Yeah.
He's not no mean a minister.
Yes.
He's been powerful in times past and still remains powerful today.
Yeah.
He tells us that the reason is because we needed the money and we went into an agreement to sign hydro. To your mind, do you think this was influence from the Chinese government or just some individuals within Sino Hydro possible?
This could not be from the Chinese government. There are people more important to the Chinese government than Aisha Huang. And so this definitely could not be with the Chinese government. Now, but Osafo-Marfo haven't said that. Like I said earlier, it's quite revealing. Osafo-Marfo is still a very important person in this country. Indeed, I'm not sure the former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources could make the statement that Osafo-Marfo has made.
No.
He definitely would have been called to order.
I see.
Yes. That shows the power of Osafo-Marfo in this government. You can't say that you have traded off the enforcement of the laws of this country for a 2 billion facility. You can't say that. That's the height of impunity. And so it's only a powerful minister in a government like Nanado Adonka Akufo-Addo who can say
who can say that we flagrantly abuse the laws of this country
for a 2 billion facility. You can't say that. You can't say that. I mean, even for a government or president to say that I've violated the laws of the country because of pecuniary gain.
Laws you sworn the oath to protect.
It's an indictment on the president. In fact, that could trigger the impeachment process,
which we know will not go anywhere actually.
But that could trigger impeachment, even in a country where you don't deport a foreign national. But just to say that for reasons of economic gain, we had to flout the laws of the country. No, it's only a person like Osafo-Marfo who can say that. In fact, in a democratic, civilized nation, no employee of state, and Osafo-Marfo is an employee of state,
that's true,
can say that we had to abandon the enforcement of our laws because of pecuniary gain. It's the height of impunity.
Even if it's the truth.
Even if that's the truth. It's just. I mean, I can't even describe what that does. I mean, it simply is unacceptable.
Do our laws take care of a situation like this?
But
there's a pronouncement from a senior minister that said that we set aside our laws.
The laws will take care of that, but the laws will take care of that through the minister. Osafo-Marfo still remains an employee of the president.
Okay.
And it is the president who can fire him.
You think he ought to be fired?
He ought to be fired. In fact, for exposing us to that level of ridicule, he ought to be fired. To have justified the non-enforcement of the laws of your country on the basis of a supposed economic agreement you have entered into with a foreign country, I mean, flies in the face of good reason. And so he ought to be called to order. And the president ought to make a pronouncement. I don't think the president will say that he subscribes to that. But if the president says he subscribes to that, he's exposing himself to impeachment.
But he's not said anything like that.
He can't say
all that we have is a senior minister.
So if the president doesn't, if he has no support from the president must demonstrate.
By doing exactly what?
By sanctioning Osafo-Marfo.
Sacking him
from the office.
But there are some of the people who have said that, I mean, this is what governments do all the time. They do it in secrets, they do it behind closed doors. All that he did wrong is to say it in the open.
To say in the open that for me, when it comes to the enforcement of the laws of this country and the economic gain that comes to this, that will come into this country by virtue of flouting the laws of the country, I stand on the side of economic gain. Then you are returning to the Hobbesian period, where life will be nasty, brutish, and short.
State of nature.
State of nature. Is that what we are advocating for?
I mean, we can't do that. We have advanced way higher than that.
We can't do that.
Okay.
We can't do that. You see, that's why this statement is condemnable, and ought to be condemned with the highest degree of vehemence in all of us.
Would you push for his removal from office?
Well, It's not only me. I've had many people comment on this.
Okay.
I've had many. This one is just ludicrous. I mean, and totally unacceptable. It embarrasses almost everybody. I mean, can you imagine Raymond walking into your friend's office and he's saying, a foreign national who believes that in Ghana your priorities are not in the enforcement of the laws, but on aiding people to flout the laws, deporting them and getting economic benefit.
There are some of you saying that. It tells me, for example, that if I and Aisha were to go before a law enforcement agency today, the scales may tilt in her favor, whether or not she's wrong or right.
The scales cannot tilt in her favor. This offense is more directed towards strict liability.
I get you. I'm saying that it shows that we prioritize the needs of foreigners more than the Ghanaian people.
If the
minister today has not said that a Ghanaian has been through a similar process, the Ghanaian has been let go.
No, a Ghanaian will never be let go.
We don't care about whether we prosecute our own or not.
Gets into the small-scale mining because of poverty.
Yes.
That was the reason why even small-scale mining was made legal. Because we realized that it could create employment for the teeming unemployed youth. Okay? And that's why it was reserved exclusively for Ghanaians.
Okay.
So Aisha Huang mining in the first place in Ghana as a foreigner flouts the law. So she could not escape. I mean, no court will let her escape. 2, she was providing mine support services when she had no license, clearly. And 3, she employed other foreign nationals to work with her. When she couldn't even work in the mines, let alone employ anybody to work for her on the mining sites. Now, in any country that believes in the efficacy of the law, the independence of the judiciary is paramount.
Now, H. Kwasi Pempe wrote is disgracefully insulting to say to Ghanaians. He also said that would you be saying this if this action had been taken by the previous government? And he also says that are the Chinese here to build infrastructure for us for free, or they are here to do business for profit? Is law breaking by Chinese nationals and the waiver of criminal sanctions part of the bargain for the Sino Hydro transaction?
That's what Osafo-Marfo is saying.
Have we not convicted and jailed foreign nationals in Ghana for committing crime before?
Many. Well, because their home countries do not trade in. Trade them in and allow for an exchange.
Does it have anything also to do with the integrity of the company we are dealing with in the name of Sino Hydro?
Well,
a company that's willing to go to the aid of somebody who's clearly abused laws of a different state.
Well, if the president chooses to engage with a company that is prepared to go to the aid of a foreign national who is flouting our laws, and the president finds nothing wrong with that, who are we to say that it speaks to the reputation of the company?
But you are in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
What we are saying that we as members of Parliament have a right, a duty to interrogate the agreement. And I can tell you, we are still counting the cost. Today we are talking about Aisha Huang.
Yeah.
We know that the first tranche of the agreement is 500 million. We know that the interest, management, financial premium, and commitment fee on the 500 million works up to 146.6 million. We also know that government has come to Parliament for a waiver of 82 million for materials that will be brought into this country
for the same Sino Hydro.
For the same 500 million.
Yeah.
So I can tell you as a matter of fact that as I speak to you now, the Sino Hydro deal of 500 is putting an obligation on government to come up with 228.6 million Ghana cedis in interest payments, in commitments, in management, in financial premium, and in waiver. 228.6 million.
I see.
Now, we are still counting. We don't know the cost of the damage, to the environment arising out of Aisha Huang's activities in the Ashanti and Western regions. For which damage we have to remediate and use monies which could otherwise be used for the same infrastructure in remediating the environment. We still don't know.
I'm afraid I've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us here today. The Honorable Minister Fuseini is a former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Thank you so much, folks, for watching today's Upfront.